Hello and welcome fellow motorsports fans. It's been a brilliant race week and I am here to tell you all about it. Today's highlights include IMSA at the Brickyard, GT World Challenge Europe and, over in the single-seater world, Formula 1, FRECA and the new Euro 4 series. Off we go! IMSA had its penultimate round of the season at Indianapolis. Penske Porsche seems to have finally figured out the car, which combined with favourable BOP allowed the factory Porsches to take a rather dominant 1-2 with the Nick Tandy and Matthew Gemini driven number 6 ahead of the number 7. Championship leaders Pippo Durrani and Alex Sims briefly found the number 31 Whelen Engineering Cadillac in the lead of the race after some full course yellow confusion, and eventually finished in P4, allowing them to keep the championship lead, while the number 25 BMW completed the podium. Sister car 24 unfortunately suffered from lap 1 carnage, similarly to the still cursed number 01 factory caddy. In LMP2, the new looking Tower Motorsports number 8 lineup took the fight to the established championship contenders as debutant Dan Goldberg, usually known for his LMP3 performance, turned out to be one of the quicker bronzes in the field, and having prototype star Louis Delatraz as a co-driver certainly didn't hurt either. They still had to settle for P2 eventually, as Mikkel Jensen blasted past Delatraz during the final 30 minutes, taking the win for the TDS Racing number 11. Ben Hanley successfully held off Chatin to take P3 for teammate George Kurtz and the 04 CrowdStrike Racing. In LMP3, Gar Robinson had to settle for P2 for the first time in 5 rounds, conceding the win to the number 17 AWA of Anthony Mantella and Wayne Boyd. GTD Pro had a WeatherTech Mercedes 79 dominated race with both Danny Yancadella and Jules Gounon in top form to take the win ahead of the number 23 Heart of Racing Aston Martin and the championship leading number 14 Vasser Sullivan Lexus. The latter did enough to basically secure the title though, as they only have to take the green flag at Road Atlanta to secure the championship for Lexus. The GTD championship was decided the moment the number 1 Paul Miller Racing BMW took the green flag, securing back-to-back class wins for Brian Sellers and Madison Snow. The duo eventually dropped to P3 during the race, as the number 57 Winward Mercedes and the 78 Forte Racing Lambo came storming through eventually. Their duel between Philip Ellis and Loris Spinelli was decided by a late elbows fully out kind of move from Ellis, securing the win for himself and teammate Russell Ward. For some more GT action, GT World Challenge Europe had its 4th sprint round at Valencia with another doubleheader. Raffaele Marciello yet again managed to carry the championship leading Acadis ASP AMG number 88 to a fantastic position, handing over the car well in the lead for Timo Boguslavski to finish the race, although he did get caught by P2 Albert Costa in the number 69 Emil Frey Ferrari near the end. Marciello actually wasn't leading the first stint though, it was in fact Dennis Marshall in the bronze entry number 66 Trezo Audi with phenomenal pace, allowing teammate Andrei Mukovos to bring home the class victory while sister car 40 completed the overall podium. Gold saw a massive upset when the Niklas Krutten piloted 30 WRT BMW got taken out on lap 1, allowing the number 21 Come2 Audi to take the class win after a fantastic drive from Gil Magnus in particular. The Silver Cup win went to the number 99 Audi thanks to a great second stint performance from Lorenzo Patrese, finishing just ahead of the championship leading 77 HRT Mercedes, which made great progress as well in the second half of the race. Race 2 had a perfectly executed race from WRT to finally bring the 32 its first win of the season. An early stop allowed Charles Weerts to undercut all the way from P5 into the lead, which he subsequently defended for almost an hour against Riccardo Feller in the 40. Vermeulen and Costa completed the podium in the 69. The 46 suffered a lap 1 accident, forcing Maxime Martin to retire from P3. Boguslavski struggled as expected, but Marciello managed to course correct the 88 for a solid top 8 finish at least. The gold win went to the number 26 Centerlock Audi in pretty dominant fashion since Simon Gachet led the entire first stint of the race. Everett really only had to hold on to set lead, although a bad stop did give the 9 a fighting chance. The 30 suffered yet again, this time with a puncture on lap 1. Patrese and Acker complete the double, taking another silver win in their 99 Audi, this time even from P5 overall, and Janssen Guven managed to secure the bronze win for the Pure Racing 911 Porsche by overtaking Bod in the 79 right after their respective stops. In terms of the championship, the 88 still leads overall, but the consistency of the 40 closed the gap a little. The 32 is actually closing in on the lead duo as well, while dropping the 11 as the Audi failed to make an impact in race 2. Meanwhile, the back-to-back podiums from Albert Costa and Thierry Vermeulen puts the 69 in P5 ahead of the 46. Back-to-back horrendous races have ended the gold lead from the 30 over the Aurelien Panis and Alberto Di Folco driven number 9, while the battle for P3 is about as close to a three-way draw as it can be. Alex Acker and Lorenzo Patrese deservedly take over the silver lead with back-to-back wins, leading 1 point ahead of Jordan Love in the 77, and the Alex Malkin driven Pure Racing Porsche 911 has increased its lead in bronze even further. Staying in the world of tin top racing, Aussie Supercars finally had its first endurance round, which I unfortunately have not been able to watch in time for this, so excuse the lack of details. Brock Feeney and his team principal co-driver Jamie Whincup secured the win at Sandown for Triple Eight ahead of championship leader Brody Kostecki with co-driver David Russell and the SVG and Richie Stanaway combo in the other Triple Eight car. The impact on the championship stays relatively low, considering the top 4 in the standings finished top 4 in the race, but the Triple Eight duo still used the opportunity to close the gap a little. Porsche ace Kevin Astor was the only European participating in the race, partnering with Matthew Payne in the number 19. Said partnership worked out quite nicely to match the 19's season best result of a P6, so let's see what Astor can do at Bathurst in a few weeks. Formula 1's Singapore Grand Prix saw a massive drop in performance for the Red Bulls, with Max Verstappen out of Q2 on merit. The Dutch superstar made his way to P5 during the race, but this still snaps his record-breaking 10-race win streak. Carlos Sainz took said streak-breaking win, beating teammate Charles Leclerc in quali and managing his way through the mess we call Ferrari to take an impressive win ahead of Lando Norris and Lewis Hamilton. George Russell looked to be the Merc set for the podium before binning it on the final lap in shocking fashion. Liam Lawson scored his first points in only his third ever race, and even K-Mag managed to just about score a point for Haas. Aston Martin had a struggle weekend with Alonso down in P9 and Stroll out in quali with a big crash, preventing him from participating in the race on Sunday. Finally, Piastri continues to perform well, finishing P7 despite starting way at the back of the grid. FRECA produced a pair of chaotic races at Monza. Andrea Kimi Antonelli won race 1 in dominant fashion despite starting down in P4, taking the lead early in lap 2 after passing pole-sitting Prema teammate Rafael Camara, who had to retire with damage soon after. Antonelli comfortably managed all the restarts thrown at him by the Chaos Monza producers. He did get handed a post-race penalty though, dropping him down to 11 and thus out of the points. Sauber Jr. Marcus Amand did a phenomenal job for Art by defending P2 and thus inheriting the win, by far the best result in this terrible season for the team. Victor Bernier got promoted to P2 ahead of title contender Martinius Stenson, fantastic recovery drive from P19 on the grid. Both Tim Chamnitz and Kars Havercourt were also among the victims of the chaos, adding to the list of non-scoring championship frontrunners. Race 2 had the opposite result for the championship, as Stenson had to repit early with front wing damage, while Antonelli led most of the race until he got overtaken by teammate Camara. Unfortunately, a crash deeper down the pack brought out a safety car immediately after the incident, and the race was not restarted, which should have handed Camara the win, but the red flag caused the order to be reset to the point before the race-winning overtake, which means Antonelli took the 25 points home instead. The new Euro 4 series also had its second round at Monza. Race 1 had Freddie Slater on pole for Prema in his second ever F4 race, but he eventually had to retire with front wing damage after a race-long battle against Kasper Stuka and Hugo Yugochukwu, who eventually finished 1-2 ahead of charging Red Bull Jr. Arvid Lindblad. Slater crossed the line in first during race 2, but an odd incident with a mistakenly shown safety car board completely shuffled the order just before the end of the race, potentially robbing Lindblad in the process. The race has not awarded any points so far and is set for review by the FIA in the near future. Race 3 began with a disastrous stall on the grid for pole sitter Stuka, dropping him all the way to the back of the field. The pole did put in a great recovery drive over the course of the race though. The top spot was decided between the British Prema duo of Slater and Lindblad yet again. Slater eventually found himself with wing damage off in the gravel trap after contact with Lindblad, handing the win to the Red Bull Junior ahead of Brando Badoea and Akshay Bora. It is truly odd to have the second best Prema in P5, in this case Tuka Taponen, but Hugo Yugochukwu taking out James Wharton and himself certainly didn't help their cause. In any case, Euro 4 is proving to be the same entertaining package Italian F4 is providing year after year, and with a similar caliber of drivers attracted to it as well. And finally, for some more international F4 news. Yuzuki Mitsui further extends his championship lead in the Japanese F4 series with 2 second places at Sugo. Championship rival Yuto Nomura won race 1 but suffered a major setback by failing to score in race 2. That win went to Kazuhisa Urabe, by far his best result of the season, considering his previous best was the P7 he managed in race 1. And last but not least, Danish F4 had its second Padborg Park triple header, and it produced an incredible hat-trick from Theodor Jensen. The young Dane won the first race of the year before going on a downward spiral, which eventually saw him withdrawing from subsequent events before returning this weekend, now racing for FSP Racing. Leo Robinson continues his podium streak since debuting last round, and Oscar Wirtz had a decent debut this time out, scoring in all 3 races, albeit not from impressive positions. The season will conclude in 2 weeks with one final triple header. Over in karting, the Champions of the Future series has concluded its season at Franciacorta. In OK Junior, Lewis Burrell managed an impressive lights to flag victory in the final to secure the championship title for himself and his Forza Racing team. It was far from an easy run though, as he came under heavy pressure from Belgian youngster Tibor Ramekes, but Worrell successfully defended until the pack could catch back up to punish a failed overtaking attempt. This ultimately allowed Dries van Langendonk to take P2 ahead of Toniolo for an incredible Forza Racing 1-2. The championship also has Forza Racing 1-2 in the final standings ahead of P3 Ramekes. In OK, Mercedes junior Alex Powell secured a convincing title ahead of his Prema teammates and fellow F1 juniors Ki Nakamura-Berta and Enzo Tanmanitschko. On track though, Joe Turney crossed the line ahead of the Jamaican to secure yet another final win this season. Powell charged his way from P8 on the grid to briefly take the lead for the middle portion of the race, before ultimately having to concede to Turney. South African racer Sam Budler finished P3 on track but got dropped to P10 due to a post-race penalty, promoting Nakamura-Berta to the podium instead. My driver of the week is Raffaele Marciello. To be perfectly honest, his performance in the Acadis ASP Team 88 Mercedes usually warrants a mention in this category, given how hard he manages to carry Timo Boguslavski weekend after weekend. Their race 1 win in the first race of the weekend had a pretty classic Marciello performance, despite only running in second for his first stint, and his recovery drive in the second race was also pretty remarkable. The Swiss Italian can seemingly drop superstar performances every time he gets near an AMG, so it's always worth a watch. Let's see if he stays loyal to Mercedes or if he bails for a hypercar drive next year. I certainly know I'm hoping for the latter. Who was your driver of the week? Let me know down in the comments. And if you don't want to miss next week's review, please consider subscribing. Anyway, thanks for watching, take care, and remember, racing is more than just F1.